I don't know about you, that clip bothers me. Every time I see it, I have the same visceral reaction to it. And I have seen it a ton of times. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about the things that you should not do on a group ride. Now, I know if we were to talk about all of the things that you should not do on a group ride, we would be here all day. What I want to talk about is the things that you should not do on a group ride that could take somebody out and at the same time make you very unpopular. Beginning with number one, probably the most obvious thing that you should not do on a group ride is overlap wheels. Now, you hear that all the time, and if you're fairly new to cycling, you're like, what in the world is overlapping wheels? Overlapping wheels is when you are within the same frame of a cyclist who is directly in front of you, and your front wheel has gone past his rear wheel. Reason why that's dangerous is because if that person needs to maneuver either to the right or to the left, or like on the example we just saw of this clip, it'll take your front wheel out. When a rear wheel in cycling meets the front wheel, the cyclist who's in the front is not going to go down. Once your front wheel gets compromised, you're going down. That's why in racing they say protect your front wheel at all times. So that's number one. Don't overlap wheels. Number two, don't brake suddenly or unnecessarily. Now, I know, we're out in the wild, things happen where every once in a while you got to pinch on the brakes to bring yourself to a full and screeching halt. But those instances should be the exception rather than the rule. It's rare in a properly operating pace line or group ride situation where you have to brake suddenly and unexpectedly. Usually whoever is in the front is paying attention and the diligence works its way back where you'll hear slowing, stopping, debris, whole right, whole left. And if you're not wearing headphones, and you can clearly hear the call outs and things like that, you can anticipate or prepare yourself anything so that it's not really unexpected. Besides, as I've mentioned in my previous videos, you should not be looking directly at the cyclist in front of you. You should be positioning yourself where you can see 2 or 3 cyclists in front of you so that you're reacting what that person is reacting to rather than reacting to that person. So things that you need to learn how to do, you need to learn how to feather and control your brakes. And it's something that you should take some time away from your group rides to practice. Practice the feel of what it's like when you clamp down on your front brake or you clamp down on your rear brake, or when you grab both of them at the same time. And learn how to use the brake just to modulate your speed slightly. It's what we call feathering the brake. You also need to learn how to air brake. That means that you'll sit up and allow your chest to catch a pocket full of air. It slows you down a little bit aerodynamically, or at least it just breaks your momentum. It's not like stopping, it's just like changing speed a little bit or easing the pressure off of the pedals as you're pedaling. That's another way to kind of like arrest your speed a little bit. And other thing that you can do, what's called a gradual drift. A gradual drift is where, like I said, you're in the frame of that cyclist and you feel like your wheel is getting to rub up on his. Well, you can start doing a very slow, gradual drift if it's safe, to where you are outside of the frame of that cycling, to where overlapping of wheels is no longer dangerous. But at the same time, you're not breaking momentum drastically. You're not changing your speed too drastically where you have to start accelerating again. Again, these are things that you should practice away from your group ride situation where it's you and 2 or 3 friends. Grab them and say, hey guys, let's practice some safety things in terms of adjusting our speed, braking, etc., etc. Next, and this is a fairly new phenomenon. I have noticed as I have gone out to different events, mostly mass start events, and with the advent of a lot of new cyclists, as they're pedaling and they point out something, one of the things that I've noticed that a lot of these new cyclists do is they're pedaling, they point something out, and they look back to make sure that you got the message. If you point something out, your face is going forward, you point it out, we got the message. We understand what's going on back there. It's the same thing as cyclists who are constantly looking back. There have been a lot of times on rides where I've actually had to tell the cyclist in front of me, hey, you don't have to worry about me back here. I'm okay. And next, and probably the most dangerous thing I've seen, and I haven't just seen this from new inexperienced cyclists, I've also seen this from seasoned cyclists, is that they'll swerve. Back in the old days, when somebody did that, you'd get yelled at. The whole peloton or the whole group would shout at you at the same time, hey, hold your line, you'd hear that, hold your line. We don't hear hold your line a lot these days. Maybe we need to get back to some of that, impromptu coaching. But swerving is one of the most dangerous things that a person can do. And it's not just because you have the potential to take somebody's wheel out. If we're following proper protocol and we're not overlapping wheels, that's really not the issue. The issue with swerving is that it startles the whole group. Nobody expects you to swerve unexpectedly. I have eaten potholes, manhole covers, twigs, little things that I don't think that's going to take me down, because I don't want to swerve suddenly and unnecessarily and startle somebody or disrupt the rhythm, the harmony of the group. It's especially dangerous if you're in a double pace line situation, because you've got somebody who's right next to you who really doesn't have an out. If you couldn't suddenly do something, they're seeing you through their peripheral vision. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to swerve at the same time. That person could swerve into traffic. Any number of things could happen. So learn to be calm. Learn to look and plan ahead. Learn to control your emotions and your reactions. But definitely don't be a swerver. Don't be squirrely. Learn to hold your line. So those are my group ride don'ts. Obviously, if something unexpectedly happened, like a car starts coming towards your path and you've got to swerve, if you got to jam on your brakes, then obviously safety first. You've got to do whatever you got to do to make sure that you maintain safety for yourself, your well-being, and that of your fellow cyclists. The things that I'm talking about on this list is just things that you just should not do when everything is working and operating properly in a pace line. I do have some honorable mentions. I've got 3 honorable mentions. First one being excessive talking. That speaks for itself. The second one being when you're in a double pace line, you're in the right lane or whichever, and the other lane is going along and you see a gap and the other guys are coming up, they're getting ready to close the gap, but you just suddenly decide you like that lane better and you go into that lane. That's annoying. The other thing that for me is annoying, when we're in a pace line and we're actually riding and somebody just takes their hands off the handlebar to do whatever. I know you're all pro and you got it together, but you could hit a rock, a twig, a pebble could take your front wheel out, and then it's not just that you're going down, other people are going down with you. So those are my group ride don'ts. Leave a comment below in case there's something on your list that I do not have on my list that is a group ride don't for you. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what are the things that just peeve you off when you're riding with a group of people. All right, guys. So thanks again for tuning in. Remember, our aim here is to inform, instruct, inspire. Be blessed.